Chapter 75 to 77. That feels good. Looking behind him as if he was looking out for a ghost, he saw an old wrinkly man stretching out his limbs as if that did something to benefit him in any way. Phew, that was a long time. Oh, hello there. Who are you? This is the sacred land of the Kais. You can't be here. Who do you think you are talking to? Sheesh. Young Kai these days have no manners and no knowledge to boot. The elderly Kai grumbled in response. He was finally released from his prison to get shouted by a youngster? What a warm welcoming. I am a supreme Kai, can't you tell? From my rocking hairstyle to my fit body. Can't you tell this is what you will become when you grow older? I'm at my prime, baby, hahaha. What? The appearance of the older Kai completely washed away the agonizing memory of Goku, breaking the Z-sword into a pleasant but still confusing one. After talking to the old Kai come more about the past and how he got sealed, Shin turned to Goku for some answers. How did you know that esteemed elder was trapped inside of the sword? Is that why you broke it? Well, Goku's eyes diverted a bit. I felt something was off about the Z-sword. While it was sharp and heavy, it didn't seem to live up to its name as the legends you told me about. I also have a feeling that there was something deeper within, so I took the risk. I see. I have to thank you, Son Goku. If you had not done that, who knows how much longer esteemed elder would be trapped in his prison. I apologize for getting angry with you earlier. Don't mention it, Supreme Kai, but let's not get sidetracked. Let's ask Elder Kai if he knows anything that could help us. Of course. After explaining the situation of Bu to Elder Kai, he understood the gravity of it all. You dimwit. How could you not protect such important tools and let it get stolen by Bu? Apparently, Elder Kai lived such a long time ago that he also knew the notorious Majin Bu and the power he possessed. Please, Elder Kai, help us solve this issue. If what you are telling me is correct, then this is serious. Normally, only Supreme Kais can use the time ring. You can only use it without being one if you shared a Patera earring with another Kai. But I highly doubt any sane Kai would agree to associate with Bu, leaving the only option I could think of. Bu, when absorbing the two Supreme Kai in the fight you described long ago, gained their properties and status as a Kai. Of course, how could I not think of that? Shin and Goku thought at the same time. If he has the same status as a Kai, he wouldn't need a Patera earring to travel through time. However, this still doesn't explain why there is a fifth green time ring. If you use a time ring, you can only go to the future, not creating any alternate timelines. As they were discussing, another watchful eye was peeping in their conversation. But he wasn't paying attention to what they were saying, but to a certain individual. Interesting fellow. Despite its best efforts, it can't escape my vision. This soul doesn't belong here. In the atmosphere of Earth. So this is where they are at. That pink blob better not lie to me. I cannot fail this time. Never again. What an interesting human, unfortunately. I can't observe his soul in more detail and find out more about it through this proverbial looking glass. I would have to go to him to find out the truth. With Lord Beerus sleeping like a cat, who knows then I will have the time to do so. The angel was squinting his eyes at the orb a little longer, but ultimately decided to put it down and return to drinking his tea. He had plenty of time to investigate later. For now, pastries and tea before Beerus wake up. So what you are saying is that Bu will be forced to come back to this timeline no matter what. Goku was following Old Kai's logic, and by all means, it sounds correct. Indeed, with Beerus and Whis tracking the ring at any time Bu goes to the future, he will be forced back into this time. As long as Shin gets to it and informs them. Yes, right away. How do you know Beerus will be awake at that time? Doesn't he always sleep at the worst moments? Indeed, that is the case, however. With something important as a time ring interfering with the timeline, he will be forced to stop it with all his efforts unless he wants to get erased by Omni King. Shin went back to his call with Whis, who pretended to be on wait the entire time. Shin asked for their help, but unfortunately, for now, Beerus was sleeping and couldn't do anything. I guess it is time for me to head back, since all we can do is wait. See you next time, Elder Kai. Next time I am here, I will have company. Hopefully, you can unlock some of their powers. He needed to get back with his family right away to make sure everything was fine. The ascension to Super Saiyan God has also been delayed for way too long. The power that he would gain from such a simple method was one he needed if he was going against such a cunning Bu. The 5 Saiyans he needed were simple, even more so now that the 2 Saiyan girls are present. Holding 2 fingers onto his forehead, he used instant transmission to teleport back to his house. Arriving on the couch with 18 lazing around watching TV, it was such a dramatic change from a tense situation to such a relaxed one. Oh hey Goku, want some? 18 gave Goku a sharp look and held out some buttered-up popcorn that she had on her lap. Goku always wondered if 18 could loosen up her facial expressions at all, but was wise enough not to ask that. Do you know where Caulifla and Kale are? I need to ask them something. Those two. They went out shopping, I think. Goku raised an eyebrow at the android that was lazying around on the couch. There weren't many things that one would need to satisfy the young droid. Stability and some excitement were some core factors, and being with Goku there was an endless supply. So endless that it loses some of its lusters over time, making 18 enjoy the simpler things. And you aren't with them? Don't you love shopping? Yeah, for the first few times, it gets boring after a while. Besides, I'm not carrying my own bags. Goku's eye twitched a couple of times while 18 knowing smirked. He couldn't help but get PTSD about the last time he went shopping with 18, only to see about a fourth of the entire trip, since there were bags covering his eyes. He shook his head and went to talk to the other two girls before taking off towards Vegeta's key signature. Knowing that they would only get mad at him if they interrupted what they were doing, he went to seek Vegeta first. Since technically Kale and Broly were not Super Saiyans, they couldn't participate in the ritual. Fortunately, Bulma, Chi-Chi, and Caulifla had a baby cooking in the oven. He didn't know how long each one was till due, but by the estimates by the doctor, they were still in their first trimester. Videl, when she participated, was a couple of months ahead of those three, but hopefully, it would still work. If not, he could always call Raditz instead of waiting. That man did a complete 180 in Goku's mind. He had nearly no faith that he would reach Super Saiyan no matter his heritage, but he managed to surprise him. After telling Vegeta his plans, he agreed and came along. Goku noticed something different with Vegeta's demeanor, but spoke nothing of it. It was true, Vegeta had a lot of time to think, and the more he thought the more the strong pillar, he called pride, looked fragile before him. He couldn't shake the feeling that something that defines him wholly, or at least that is how he felt, was being replaced since coming to this backwater planet. From meeting Goku to meeting Tights, that wall of pride couldn't keep up with their consistent hammering. Coming back to the compound, it looks like it was the right call to get Vegeta first, since it seemed that Caulifla and Kale were already back. Yeah, we have been lacking a fifth and proper Super Saiyan for the longest time, which is why we didn't do the ritual. But now there are so many and more to come. They all got into formation for the ritual with Goku at the center. Bulma was the first to nervously go up as the fifth participating member and held her two children's hands. Vegeta and Caulifla put their hands on Goku's back and inserted their power as vague as it sounded. To everyone's disappointment, nothing happened. As I thought, Bulma rotated with Chi-Chi, but none of them worked. It was obvious that the fifth spot was the faulty one, not to the fault of the girls. Alright, I am going to get Raditz. Be right back. Goku closed his eyes and teleported first to Supreme Kai's place. He didn't really speak with the two Kai again, since they already knew what he came there for. Focusing on the direction Raditz left last time, he was able to spot the familiar key of his brother out in the vastness of space. Instantly transmitting to his location, he was fighting a hug green-like creature. The fight was intense with the creature spitting out various acids that did different effects on each rock it landed on. You can tell that Raditz really loved the thrill of the battle and the situation he was in. Goku didn't want to rip him away from this so fast, but it's not like he will be gone for long. Waiting for a little, he started to get a little impatient, since he told everyone back at home that he wasn't going to take long. Hey Raditz, we need you back on Earth. He didn't want to interrupt, but he was on a schedule. Seeing Goku in the distance, he only acknowledged him with a slight nod. Charging his hands with vibrant purple energy, he fired Double Sunday to end the battle quickly. The dual beams of death landed on the creature, drilling into his very being. Both pierced its chest with two gaping holes. Breathing its last breath, it collapsed with a thud on the ground. Raditz didn't pay it any mind, nor the local residents that went to inspect if the monster that was terrorizing them really was dead. Is it an emergency? Kinda sorta. Rolling his eyes, he packed up all of his things and led Goku to his spaceship. Understanding what he wants, he used instant transmission with all of Raditz's things in tow. Returning back to the house in one piece, Goku called everyone back outside to continue the ritual. Alright, let's do it this time. Goku started to explain what was happening to Raditz and what they were going to do. Although Raditz didn't quite know the gravity of the situation, he can assume that it was heavy, so he agreed. Returning to the open area, where they first tried the transformation, they got back into position. Well, looky here. I was going to find and kill that Raditz character first, but it looks like you brought him here. Now all of you tainted Scions are here, I can finally kill you myself. Bew! That was Goku's initial thought, but quickly discarded it from his voice and choice of words. Looking up into the sky, all the Scions encountered something they couldn't quite explain. It was as if the person before them was someone on a different level. Someone who they couldn't help but bow and acknowledge. The overbearing pressure didn't sway Goku from looking up at the culprit, and was shocked at what he saw. Something that he himself had unfamiliar territory in. The flying one bore a striking resemblance to Vegeta and his father before him. He had rugged clothes like he just participated in a fight of the ages. The sharp features on his face couldn't mask the amount of hatred that permeated from his body directed at the Scions. His hair was red like the blood that stained his shirt, The eyes that downed on the crew was the most intimidating. The red eyes swept across everyone as if he could peer into their soul. Who dares interrupt this important ritual? And why do you look like me? Vegeta was dumbstruck. The person in front of him looked exactly like him. Only if his Super Saiyan transformation turned him red instead of gold. Who am I? Impudent. The figure glared at them with the signature Vegeta glare that Goku couldn't help but laugh at. They both turned their gaze onto him at such an untimely laugh. What? I couldn't help it. My name is Yamoshi, first to transcend to a higher being of Saiyan. The one that will finish what I started long ago, exterminating this savageness from this world. Yamoshi? But how? There is no way for him to be here. In this timeline, Bulma didn't even create her time machine. And like Grand Kai said, the time rings can't go back in time. Yamoshi? I don't understand what you are doing here, but you just wearing my face while spewing that crap got me riled up. Not underestimating his opponent for even a second, Vegeta powered up to true Super Saiyan. The Saiyan God had a shocked look on his face. Impossible. How can you achieve that transformation? Super Saiyan, the first Saiyan transformation that his race has discovered and one that he achieved first. He thought that besides himself and his companions, no one else could achieve it, especially a descendant of him. If they somehow grasped a method to transform to such a power with their nature, they must be exterminated with haste. The killing intent skyrocketed out of Yamoshi, and he rushed towards Vegeta while Vegeta did the same. The two of them collided mid-air, but the result was quite clear when Vegeta ricocheted off of him like a pebble in the capsule core building. Yamoshi had a smirk on his face as Vegeta stood up from the rubble, rubbing the blood away from his mouth. Still, it isn't enough to beat me. Vegeta was about to rush in again to regain some semblance of pride, but Goku stopped him. Wait, Vegeta, that person, he is a Super Saiyan God. Everyone in the venue had varying faces of shock, horror, and curiosity. Vegeta in particular had a grim expression on his face, while Yamoshi looked over to Goku in amusement. This one seems to be one of integrity and calmness. However the case, he must still be killed. Goku didn't know why Yamoshi was here, but clearly, he couldn't let him roam free. Understanding his Saiyan history, Yamoshi was the original Super Saiyan and Super Saiyan God, and was the opposition in the Saiyan Civil War that forced them off of their planet to planet Sadala. This was probably the reason why he wants to kill the descendants to settle the grudge however he saw fit. Why don't we take this somewhere else? Believe it or not, there are billions of innocent creatures roaming this land. If we fight, I'm afraid they would be caught in the crossfire. He didn't know if his strongest transformation would be enough to fight against the god, but he vividly remembered the Battle of Gods. He didn't want Earth to be in the proximity of the match. Sure, where do you propose? Once again, the respect Yamoshi showed Goku increased, but he steeled his resolve in seeing this through. Touch my hand. Goku stretched out his hand. As everyone expected, Yamoshi hesitated a bit. He was surrounded by enemies on all sides, so he could easily be blindsided. Although he achieved tremendous power, he hasn't nor will lose his vigilance like a true warrior. Goku saw what was going through his mind and retracted all his power. Not one speck of defense nor hostility was shown, making him completely naked in terms of defense. If Yamoshi wanted to, he could easily launch a sneak attack close and fatally damage Goku. But Goku was convinced that not a normal person could become a Super Saiyan God. His eyes darted back and forth as he slowly approached the standing Goku. He seemed to be thinking something, but ultimately placed his hand on Goku as he wanted. Smiling, Goku used instant transmission to teleport to the sacred world of Kais. The moment they arrived, Yamoshi separated from Goku in a millisecond and observed his surroundings. We are in a place full of divine ki. Such a grand technique to be able to teleport. Using his great senses, he was able to figure out that he was many light years away from they were original. Before we start, may I ask why you are here? Your presence here disrupts many laws of this world. A strange pink creature offered me the opportunity to exact my revenge many millennials later after I was defeated. Of course, I will take it or my spirit would not be able to rest. Pink creature. You mean Bu? It matters not. I do not care the name of the creature. He presented me with a great opportunity, and I decided to take it. Enough talk. You don't seem like a descendant of his, but I will kill you all the same. Goku vowed to get to the bottom of this. Even though it's supposed to be impossible, Bu manages to do it and bring Yamoshi with him. Even if the energy around Yamoshi was chaotic, as if it threatened to bring him back any time, much damage was already done. It was as if this universe adjusted the more power he got quicker. Even with power imaginable at this current age, the universe runs and keeps him on a leash by giving him ludicrous opponents. Goku powered up to Super Ape, making Yamoshi contort his face like he swallowed a bug. It doesn't matter. If the universe didn't adjust to me, it would be too boring. Well, there they go. Bulma shielded her eyes from the sun while looking into the sky. That was enough excitement for the day. Everyone started to return to their normal routine, completely faithful that Goku would stop that mysterious person. Hey Broly, would you like to keep on training? Sure. Broly, like all new additions to the crew, found himself welcomed warmly and integrated seamlessly. The same happened with Chilai. Her nature to be out in space, doing whatever she wanted, was temporarily subdued with the wonders of Earth that the other girls showed her. Kale and Broly regularly trained together in hopes of controlling their transformations better. They never thought to see someone like them, so they capitalized on the opportunity every chance they could. They have been making better progress than with Goku, or by themselves, almost reaching a controlled Super Saiyan state. As everyone went back to what they were doing, they didn't notice the conspicuous pink blob disguising himself with expert magic. He was eyeing them since the start of the encounter with Yamoshi. With Yamoshi distracting everyone, he was able to sneak by even the eyes of Goku. He closed his eyes to process the information that he attained to make the best move possible. His gaze finally looked towards where Kale and Broly were departing with greed-filled eyes. After he confirmed that the straggler Vegeta left to train harder than ever, he slowly started to drift in their direction. Back in the sacred land of Kais, Goku and Yamoshi barely started their fight, but it felt like it would last forever, considering the shockwaves that were dispersing throughout the planet. Goku notified Shin beforehand and had him go to a safe distance and watch. Luckily, the world was sturdy, being able to survive the blows that were being exchanged on it by two godly-level beings. This was the first time since Cell that Goku felt inferior in power. He could understand it then, when Cell absorbed 21, who was from the future, but someone from the past? A stray punch was thrown at Goku's face, and he caught it with his cheek. Falling back, he threw 3 key blasts in succession to slow Yamoshi's rush. It was no avail, as he smoothly deflected the key balls to exploded behind him. When Yamoshi got close, Goku launched a kick to his sternum. Yamoshi dodged the straightforward strike, and with impeccable speed and accuracy, punched Goku in the solar plexus. He narrowly blocked the punch with his hand and counterattacked with a headbutt. Since they were in such close proximity, Yamoshi couldn't dodge and was pushed back. Goku was barely holding on with his inferior power, despite his training every day. If he wasn't interrupted by Yamoshi, he would have been able to complete the Super Saiyan God transformation, and the level of power would not have been the same. It was no use in lamenting past events, as he readied up for more brutal exchanges, but noticed Yamoshi stopped for a second. That transformation, it is weaker than his. I wonder why. He was able to defeat me, while he has no chance no matter how much you struggle. Chance. This was a chance to delve deeper into the lore of Dragon Ball. As a true fan, he had to persuade Yamoshi to keep going. Who are you talking about that achieved this transformation? As far as I know, I am the first to do so. Seems like the destruction of your planet lost the annals of knowledge. I will tell you now, young Saiyan, so listen well, about my rival and the person who defeated me and left me to die in space.